Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. All praises to Allah, the Creator of the universe, and their Sustainer, the Provider of believers and unbelievers. And may His choicest blessings be on the seal of His Prophet, the last of His messengers and His holy progeny. And in particular, may His incessant blessings ever continue to flow on that 10th successor to the Holy Prophet, on Abu Hassan, Imam Ali ibn Muhammad al-Hadi, all our praises and gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be exalted. To have made it possible for us to meet once again, this time to discuss the life and the imamah of the 10th and 11th Imams alayhim as-salam. When we started this series, we were only praying that this day should come. And alhamdulillah, we have reached the stage in which we are now on the 10th and 11th Imams alayhim as-salam to study their imamah so that we recognize our imams better, so that we know them. Because how can we expect their shafa'ah? How can we say we belong to them and to their camp if we in the first place do not know them? It all ends in knowing them by merely knowing their name and no more. And hence I've always emphasized that these meetings are not historical meetings. They are not to set out the history of the Imams alayhim as-salam. The purpose is to study their imamah, to know them better, because it is that ma'rifah, that recognition of the Imam alayhi salam that brings us not only close to them, but more importantly, it brings us close to Allah, the exalted and mighty. Next year then, inshallah ta'ala, if we have another chance like this, we complete the series with the discussion on our current Imam alayhi salam, and the hope at the moment is that we spend all the 10 nights discussing about him and his various facets of education. Because again, knowing him is of paramount importance. But we should leave that for the moment until next year, inshallah. So this year then, I propose to start, as always, with the agenda. The first 5 nights I propose to discuss the imamah of the 10th Imam alayhi salam, and the remaining 5 nights the imamah of the 11th Imam alayhi salam. I set out the agenda, as I said before, with the primary purpose of enabling you to make your suggestions. It is your time that I value, and hour that you spend here, you of course want it usefully spent. So let me know, as always, what are the matters you want me to discuss. To that end, I wish to set out my agenda so that you can then suggest your amendments. I am proposing tonight to start, as we have done with all the previous Imams, because it is vital as a foundation for the study of the Imam, proof that he really was an Imam. It is not enough for us to say that Imam Hadi alayhi salam was an Imam. The question is, what is it? And what is the proof? And we will go back to those criteria which we have set up in that respect, in determining whether he truly was an Imam or not. And again, we shall touch on our sources and sources of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. The proof of Imamah, as we have seen before, lies also in the excellence of the Imam alayhi salam. He is a representative of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny, and the Holy Prophet said that his prophethood, the essence of his prophethood, lies in his excellence. And so we need to discuss the excellence of the Imam alayhi salam, because if any personality lacks the kind of excellence we see in the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny, we refuse to recognize him as an Imam. That is our ma'rifah of an Imam alayhi salam. So we, inshallah, tomorrow night, if possible, we start with tonight, but we started late, but even then, if not tonight, tomorrow night, we discuss the excellence, the restlessness of the life of the personality, which signifies two things. One, it signifies his own nobility, and it signifies his own etiquette and akhlaq. Because without those, one cannot approach, one cannot get near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is common sense. I said this as an introductory remark, so that tomorrow I know that to go back to it. This is common sense. Do we in our society accept a person without good etiquette and without good manners? We reject him outright, because the essence of humanhood is that code of conduct which raises his personality and raises his excellence. Various matters come into play, as you know: generosity, charity, patience, courage, confidence, and we shall inshallah see how those are portrayed in the 10th Imam alayhi salam to establish beyond question his true imamah. But then we always say, whatever we say on one hand, we always on the other hand say that we do not recognize him as an imam who leads the kind of life we live. We want to see in an imam extraordinary qualities that we do not see in ordinary men. Because if we see those qualities in the ordinary men, we turn around and say, how is he superior to us? Why should we follow him? Why should we obey him? And above all, how can he be the representative of Allah if he is not able to do extraordinary things? And this is nothing new when we say this. We are not asking unfamiliar questions. We are not asking improper questions. We are not asking irrelevant questions. That is exactly what each prophet was asked. For example, Nabi Musa alayhi salam was asked, if you are truly, to claim that you are truly, and Fir'aun asked him this in an open court, if you truly claim to be the prophet of Allah, show me a sign, show me some act that you can perform which I cannot perform, which all these people sitting here cannot perform. Well, and indeed, Nabi Isa alayhi salam was asked that repeatedly, and Quran says this. And the miracles, as they are called, the Mu'jizat, of each of these prophets are set out in the Quran also as proof that they were representatives of Allah. That is, Allah has vested them with such knowledge that knowledge is not in the hands of the ordinary man. And it is not knowledge that you find in the books. Knowledge of a level at which he is able to perform acts which ordinarily do not make sense. You cannot see. For example, we have seen how the sun was made to rise again. How did that happen? We discussed that in 1999. It is when such signs are fulfilled by a personality that will begin to say, yes, he must be a man of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Put in other words, a representative, in other words, a hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, to comply with that end, inshallah, on the third night, which will be the second night, we will discuss these extraordinary events that became top of the town, if you like, in the life of Imam Hadi alayhi salam. And there are floodlights in our books in respect of his achievements. Praying for the bird, inshallah, on Saturday night. And then we should spend a night with you, discussing how he paved the way for the arrival of our Imam, Ajjalallahu Farajahu. Well, cardinal importance to us, the arrival of the Prophet Imam alayhi salam. This is now the immediate grandfather. When we talk of the grandfather of the Prophet Imam alayhi salam, we are talking of the Holy Prophet usually, peace be upon him and his progeny. But this is now the immediate grandfather. and what did he do to pave the way? And he did a great deal. In fact, I have started on this subject from last year, if you remember, when we discussed the life of Imam Taqi alayhi salam. Imam Jawad alayhi salam, we began to see how he paved the way for preparing the Ummah for the khidmah of the Prophet Imam alayhi salam. Indeed, we first started talking about this when we discussed the life of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam and how Imam Sadiq alayhi salam took the opportunity he had of appointing various wukala, various practices. That foundation having been laid was developed, as we saw last year, by the 9th Imam alayhi salam. This year we will see how it was further developed by the 10th Imam alayhi salam. Indeed, the 10th Imam alayhi salam gave the refinement. Not only the refinement, he gave the administrative functions. How will the Wakala function in day-to-day matters with regard to the believers, to the mu'mineen of the time, and of the times to come, like our time. Indeed, I hope we shall see that the kind of life we lead today, the kind of spiritual administration we are in, is reminiscent of the kind of administration that the 10th Imam alayhi salam had set up. And indeed, this matter is of importance to the youth because their mind is given to administration, to efficiency, to organization. Those three words you will see are bold, true, and are laid for the future in store, as it were, by the 10th Imam alayhi salam. I hope we discuss all that on Sunday night and see how he paved the way for the arrival of the 12th Imam alayhi salam, because this is one of his great achievements, the 10th Imam alayhi salam. It is always my regret that I do not get enough opportunity to put forward to you the various teachings of the Imams alayhi salam. I will try also on Saturday night and Sunday night to put in some of the teachings of Imam Hadi alayhi salam, so that we get a glimpse of the vast knowledge that he had and the vast capacity he had of teaching. If not, then surely I will try to do some of that on Monday night. Monday night, inshallah, I'm hoping to devote that night to the political life of the Imam alayhi salam. How did he fare in the politics of the time? How did he cope with it? How did he meet it? And how did he ensure that his teaching, his insignia, his hujjah of Allah, the glorified and exalted, stands true to the last day, despite the political machinations and maneuvers of the time. And ultimately, the great tribulations and trials that he had to go through, and how he went through them with the kind of dignity and the kind of nobility that we saw in his predecessors. We had occasions, a couple of years back, to see how the 7th Imam alayhi salam was in prison for years, and while he was in prison, he remained in prison with such dignity that those imprisoning him became subservient to his spirituality, and those sent to seduce him, to take him away from his worship, themselves became most ardent worshippers. That is the kind of experience that is repeated in respect of the 10th Imam alayhi salam. And inshallah, we shall examine those, and how the politicians sought to harass him, and yet the way he dealt with those harassments. This is unique with the 10th Imam alayhi salam. And it's a fantastic lesson, because that is happening to us today. And we can draw those lessons from the way the 10th Imam alayhi salam dealt with those persecutions and harassments, and yet survived them all, not only triumphantly, but with great nobility and great dignity. And then, of course, with his wafat. That is the pattern that I will place, inshallah, for the 11th Imam alayhi salam, when we commence upon his study of his Imam. I shall set out the agenda again. But as I said, this is the broad framework within which I propose to spend your 1 hour each night for the next 5 nights. And please let me know whether this is in conformity with your choice, or whether you would wish some amendments to be made in it. Well then, to come back to the primary question, Was he an Imam? Well, what are the criteria then of determining whether a person is an Imam or not? Indians are famous for questioning that. And they have questioned Imam after Imam, anybody who has come in. Because Indians have had the good fortune of, perhaps bad luck, when you look at it, of having various imposters in this subcontinent. Somebody claimed to be Nabi Isa, and you rejected it. There are those who accepted him and have got huge places. The Ahmadiyyas, for example, are developing themselves on the basis of my very God as their true religion. But you have had opportunity to question them. A person comes down saying he is an Imam, you question him from various angles. And if he cannot speak your language, you reject him. Because you say an Imam should be able to do that very fluently, more fluently than anybody else speaking that language. And we'll discuss that just last year. We discussed that in the life of the 8th Imam alayhi salam and how he taught that to Abu Bakr. Well, the three broad criteria that we have set out as taught by Sheikh Mufid alayhi rahmah are these that he firstly and foremost should be a person more learned than anybody else in his time. And indeed, we have seen in respect of each Imam alayhi salam, and praise is repeated with Imam Hadi alayhi salam, that never was he asked a question. Never was he asked a question on any subject which he did not answer instantly. I hope I will go through more specific examples in the days to come. But today I wish to set out the general pattern. There isn't one hadith, even a false one. And I start with the negative. There is not even a false hadith concocted by any enemy of Imam Hadi alayhi salam to say. And I hope I will leave with the enemies tonight. Intellectual, for example. But not one false hadith to say that he was asked this question and he was not able to answer it in a satisfactory way, satisfying his question. And but I always keep emphasizing and answer it immediately. When you ask me a question, I might well say, can I look it up and come back to you tomorrow? Or come back to you after a week? That never happened with those Imams alayhi salam, nor did it happen with Imam Hadi alayhi salam. The answer was promptly given to the satisfaction of the questioner. Well, we saw that with Hazrat Amir alayhi salam. Particularly, he's sitting on the mimbar and saying, Saluni, qabla an tafqaduni. Ask me now before I disappear from amongst you. Well, that statement, which was put by the grandfather, was supposed to be acted upon by each successor. We say that if any person is not able to meet the standards of Hazrat Amir alayhi salam, he is not enough. And they reject him forthwith, outright. Well, that is what was found true with Imam Hadi alayhi salam. I will come to more specific examples. I want to lay the broad pattern tonight. I will inshallah come to more specific examples. But that is what was found in his life. Not a question asked which he was not able to answer. Now, is this our research? And the answer is certainly not. And I will kick off straight away with authorities from Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, leaving aside all Shiite sources. Because of paucity of time, I will not go into the Shiite sources, except on the question of his appointment as an Imam, express appointment as an Imam. But on the matters of his knowledge, leading Sunnite sources have set out his life and have set out specific statements regarding the extent of his knowledge. For example, Ibn Sabbar al-Maliki, now he was a Maliki, and an eminent scholar, well accepted as authoritative word with Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. He says, for example, he says in Usul al-Muhimmah, he says that Imam Hadi alayhi salam in his life was perhaps the most learned of men. And there wasn't a scholar, we're not even talking about critical human beings, there wasn't a scholar who was more learned than Imam Hadi alayhi salam. This is what Imam Ibn Tabbaz al-Maliki says. And then he sets out also in Usul al-Muhimma various details. He says if you look at his personality, you remember the personality of the Holy Prophet. We say that is our criteria of determining whether the person is an Imam or not. When you look at him and you say, this is indeed the Holy Prophet. I haven't seen the Holy Prophet, you say. But when I read of his akhlaq and if I read of his personality, I see those are the qualities I see in this man. It's essential that we should be able to say that before we accept someone else. And this is a testimonial that comes not from people of his faith, not from his followers, but it comes from those who would not even accept him at that point in time as a Hujjatullah. But they were prepared to say that when we look at him, we remember the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his progeny, because those qualities we saw permeating in him and excusing out of him. And then he says, when you see his knowledge, one finds that his knowledge was such that there wasn't a question you asked him to which he did not reply. Ibn Tabbaz al-Maliki, in particular in his work, Contemplation of Ayat of Quran. He says when you question about the feel of any particular verse, he was able to set out the explanations with complete competence and in great detail. Well, then he goes on and says, when you discuss, when you sit and judge him by his charity, by his devotion, by his worship, you find that there wasn't a person who was his contemporary who could exceed him in any of those qualities. Now you can see that these are the qualities we look for in a person before we accept him. Well, that is Ibn Tabbaz al-Maliki. But Ibn Hajar al-Makki, he, as you know, and we've discussed it again and again, has written the book Sawa'iq al-Mahrika. Sawa'iq al-Mahrika means the lightning that burns. And it is a lightning that was supposed to burn what? The heart of shears. That when the shears read the book, their heart should burn. In that book, he says, that there wasn't a person in the lifetime of Imam Hadi alayhi salam superior to him either في علمه أو ذاته either in his knowledge or in his worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot be an Imam, you cannot be a representative of Allah unless you are a worshipper of Allah. How can you teach the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How can you spread the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if you are not devoted to Him yourself? And devoted to Him to the degree that makes you a true representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And hence we find that when Imam Hussain alayhi salam asked for something on the eve of Ashura from Umar ibn Sa'd, he says, give me a knife. I only ask for a knife. Then start the backing out. Started tomorrow morning. لِنُصَلِّي رَبِّي وَنُقَدِّسُهُ, so that I have time to worship Allah and to revere Him and supplicate Him. But when we look at this family, we do not see that merely with Imam Hussain alayhi salam. You recently heard of how the two sons of Hazrat Muslim alayhi salam. You heard they were 9 years old, 10 years old, and they're there, Arif or Arif. If you want to kill it, do that. Kill it if you want to. Give us time to recite Surah Al-Fatihah. That was always the teaching of that family. They get it from the elders of the family. That so the elders will have prepared to accept the Imam, not any person under the sun. And so Ibn Hajar al-Makki says there wasn't a person superior to him in that respect. And there is a long list of scholars of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah who have written in such vein for Imam Hadi alayhi salam, but to quote the last one because he was the Chief Justice of Istanbul, and you can imagine a Chief Justice of Istanbul, he was a Shafi'i. In his book, Janabir al-Mawadda, convincingly says that there wasn't a person in the lifetime of the 10th Imam alayhi salam superior to him in any respect. He goes that far. Whether it is secular matters or spiritual matters, if you discuss secular matters with him, there wasn't a person superior to him. If you discuss spiritual matters, if you look at his akhlaq, if you look at his knowledge, if you look at his devotion, there wasn't one facet of life in which anybody could excel in any way. Now this is Janabiul Mawaddah. That is the objective analysis, the objective sector of a personality before he can be recognized and accepted as an Imam. When we come to the spirituality of it, we say we do not accept anybody as an Imam alayhi salam unless we are sure that he is appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is only an appointee of Allah who can be a representative of Allah, who can be a hujjah of Allah on earth. Nobody elected by us sinners. This is the important point for us. Nobody elected by us sinners, and who is a sinner like us can even start claiming to represent Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because divinity can only be represented by purity. When there is impurity, it has no cohesion with divinity. And so we say, we will accept only those who fall in the category of إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَهُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. We say short of that, we do not accept Ibadah. Well, how then do we determine? How then do we determine? Because how do we know the heart of a person? We know his conduct, which is the first category I just discussed with you. When you look at the personality objectively, how can we determine subjectively whether his heart is pure or whether he is pretending? And you have seen many people who pretend to be nice people, put to test, you find them to be different. How do we know? That you will not, because you can lead 30 years of your life as a fellow gentleman, and then you can change. So how are we sure? And our answer is quite simple. We say, we will only accept him to be a representative who, given these objective qualities, is also a person appointed by Allah, the glorified and exalted. So the next question is, well, we do not communicate directly with Allah. How do we know? When we say all Muslims accept that communication from or with or by Allah, the glorified and exalted, is only through, and this is vital, is only through the medium of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his family. He had the wahi. And when he had the wahi, Quran says he was loyal to it. He did not fiddle with wahi at all. Whatever he said, وَلَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. Quran says he never uttered anything of his own. He only conveyed that which Allah the Great and Exalted asked him to convey. And we are, in this day of age, to our other Muslims, don't you accept that to be true? Would we accept the Holy Prophet to be a messenger of Allah if we found that even once? We don't want many more examples. But if we found that even once, not in a major matter, even in a minor matter, he disobeyed Allah, or he did not convey the command of Allah, or Allah wished him to command, and we say no. The truth of it is Quran, and when Quran says, الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا. When Allah himself says that I have perfected your religion, thou totally completed it, and I am radi, I am pleased with the way Islam is true, that he is pleased with the way the Holy Prophet conveyed and presented Islam to us. That is the greatest medal, the greatest testimonial Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have given to the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny. And when he received that verse, he says to Allah, now I'm ready to come back to you. Now I'm ready to come back to you. I'll fulfill my mission. I want to come back to you when you are ready with me. And that is the attitude we see with Imam Hussain alayhi salam. When he said at the last breath, يَا أَيَّتُهَا النَّفْسُ الْمُطْمَئِنَّةُ ارْجِعِي إِلَىٰ رَبِّكِ رَاضِيَةً مَرْضِيَّةً. Oh, that soul, which is a contented one, return to your Lord in a state in which you are pleased with him and he is pleased with you. That is the level of imamah that we look for. Well, if that is the state of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, in his progeny, we say that is the person we are. We are trained. When do we follow as an imam? Now, I will not consume your time because I had discussed this, although I discussed this in Israel in 1996, about 10 years ago. But inshallah next year, I will go through this again in respect of the third Imam alayhi salam. Well, we say, ask the Holy Prophet, and we have hadith which again are set out in Sunnite sources. And next year, inshallah, I shall remind you of those hadith. Not conscious, of course, I will discuss full of them. But from Sunnite sources, I hope to be able to show to you that those ahadith are there that the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny, in his lifetime said that there will be 12 Imams after me and gave the names of the Imam. So, when we say Imam Hadi was Imam, we go back to that list and we look at the list and say, what is the name given as the 10th Imam? If we change the name, we accept it. If we change things, then we don't accept it. That is final for us, because it is what the Holy Prophet thinks we are going to do is the conclusive argument. And I'll discuss with you just a few seconds of reminder when we were discussing the level, the mercy level of the Fatima Zahra salamullahi alayha. Then he said to his daughter, discussing what will happen to the successors, he said, from your progeny there will be 12 Imams. And the Prophet alayhi salam said, who will there be? Who will there be? And you must have got this knowledge from Jibreel, and he takes out that tablet and gives that tablet to the Prophet alayhi salam and says, Prophet, here are the names, the 12 names of your grandsons who will be the Hujjahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who will be the representatives of the Imams at the time to lead the Ummah. And that tablet has moved from Imam to Imam. And Imam Hussain alayhi salam in Karbala, we mention it because these are his days now, passed it to Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, and he went on and on. Remind you just of that incident which I discussed with you in the time of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, when a companion of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam comes to him and says, Yabna Rasulullah, so and so is a close friend of mine, and he says he is convinced that Muhammad bin Ismail is the true representative of Allah on earth, the true successor to Imam Bakr alayhi salam. Well, and Imam Sadiq alayhi salam turns around to him and says, this is the son of Zayd, of Hazrat Zayd. And Imam Sadiq alayhi salam turns around and says, go and tell him to produce that tablet. Go and ask him to produce that tablet which the Holy Prophet gave to our grandmother, Fatima Zahra salamullahi alayha. Because he will not be able to produce it, because it is with me and not with him. So Abu Basir, you remember, the big was said. So Abu Basir says, Yabna Rasulullah, you have brought it. And he says, yes. And Abu Basir, I will show it to you. And he stands up. Abu Basir says, Yabna Rasulullah, you always ask your servant to bring it. He says, no, this has been passed to us from the holy hands of my grandmother. My servant will not touch it. I will go and touch it myself. And you remember this hadith, we discussed it at length on that occasion. And he goes, picks it up and shows it to Abu Bakr and shows his name of Sadiq alayhi salam as the 6th Imam of the. And this hadith is reported in the books of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Next year, inshallah, I'll quote you chapter and verse on that. And I can do so this year if you so wish. of each Imam. Likewise is the name of Imam Hadi alayhi salam. That is enough for us today. That wasn't enough for the people of that particular time. Would they have been completely satisfied with it? Of course, the qualities that we look for, these books that were written of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah contained ample proof. But the matter went further, because those who lived at that particular point in time wanted to be personally satisfied, because there was a sunnah laid by the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny. And let me come back to Ghadir for that reason, because we cannot dissect ourselves from Ghadir. It is not possible to discuss the Imam of any Imam without discussing Ghadir. The sunnah that the Holy Prophet, in his great wisdom, commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, laid was that when one representative of Allah is about to leave the earth, and the Holy Prophet had announced that I will soon depart from you, this is my last Hajj, those who want to come with me can come with me, people went to Hajj with him, this is just at the conclusion of that Hajj. He was already announced that he had few days to go. And his sunnah was that the moment you reach a stage at which you are to go, you make a public announcement to your followers of who your successor will be. Those golden words, man kuntu mawlahu. Those words, man kuntu mawlahu, apply to each of the Imams. Each of them is a beneficiary of those golden words. And so, if the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny, do that, and we expect every successor to follow the Holy Prophet's life and Sunnah to the letter, then we expect that each of them will appoint their successors. And will appoint their successors in such a way that the appointment will be published to the followers, and the followers will not go astray. And we saw the gigantic work done by the third Imam Murtaza, having already discussed these matters in the past, it becomes easy for me to take your mind back to those events. How, despite the fact that he was in prison for all those years, he had the appointment of his successor made so vivid. And so did Imam Jawad alayhi salam. And Sheikh Mufid and Sheikh Tusi alayhim ar-Rahmah say in their respective works, the matter with Imam Hadi alayhi salam is not as complex as of other Imams, because he has no competitor. Nobody could come forward and say, I am a successor to Imam Jawad alayhi salam, because Imam Jawad alayhi salam had one male son, and that was Imam Hadi, and so he became his successor. Of course, he became a successor at the age of 9 years. But that was no longer a problem, because as we discussed last year, Imam Jawad alayhi salam became an Imam at the age of 9 years. And that question was resolved. He resolved it beyond doubt. He resolved it with his own companions, as we saw, with his own share. He resolved it in the court of Mamun, when the Chief Justice is going to have a discussion with him. We went through all that, how he defeated the Chief Justice, made him look like a little child, when the Chief Justice thought he was a little child at 9 years. And he was able to show that he was a giant in the knowledge that he had. And that permutation, you remember, just to remind you, in a matter of seconds only, a lady is halal at dawn, becomes haram when the sun rises, during the morning, haram at, that was his permutation on the spot. And the Chief Justice said, if I was born and lived 8 times a day and studied all my life, I would have to defend for that. So, Al-Jawad alayhi salam, his illustrious father, had already established beyond question that age is irrelevant. It is of no importance at all. And that in itself is proof that you are a representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That when he sends you as his representative, he vests you with all that knowledge. And if that knowledge is lacking, you are not his representative. If one key appointed a representative, an agent, and that agent did not have the stock of Group 1 key with it, what would you say? You will say, what kind of agent are you? If Mercedes are an agent who has no Mercedes car going to the door, where would you send them? So it is necessary that they should have the commodity they are out to propagate. Hence, the Imams are vested with those commodities, regardless of the age at which they are. So there was no competition in that respect. The knowledge was there. The age no longer mattered because it had already been proved to be irrelevant. And the people were prepared to accept now the age of the person. Imam Rawa alayhi salam. May Allah always thank Salawat that Imam Rawa alayhi salam for his contribution. He was the person, you remember when we discussed his life, we laid the foundation because he turned around and asked the people how old was Nabi Isa alayhi salam when he made his first speech. Just one child when he turned around and says, Inni Abdullah atani al-kitab wa ja'alani nabiyya, I am a messenger of Allah, he given me a book and has made me his prophet. How old was he then? He asked. Age is irrelevant with representatives of Allah. So Imam Hadi alayhi salam, he was 9 years, was no longer important to his people. They have seen ample evidence with Imam Jawad alayhi salam. So, that not being a hindrance to him and getting no other competition, things were easier. But shares being shares, they always want to be sure of what they are doing. And this is a quality we have, and a quality which may Allah always keep in us. Because that is what makes us sure of what we are doing. And it is so important. Because this is an age in which we are harassed, we are persecuted, and we are persecuted from all quarters and all angles. But we yet are able to remain on our faith because of those truths that we have, because of that conviction we have of our faith based on grounded, solid arguments, based on Quran, based on proved, authentic hadith of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his prophet. And that, inshallah, Allah will keep vested in us to the last day, because times are going to become even more hard than they are today. However, the fears of that time also were undergoing that type of time. The upper side made life almost impossible for the fears of the time. And Hussein, his run goes to Imam Jawad alayhi salam, when he was told the first time, you remember, to Baghdad, and Imam Jawad smiles. He says to Imam Jawad, you have been told by the Khalid, may Allah protect you from all harm. But just in case what we don't like should happen to you does happen, who do we follow? And there is nothing new in this question. Because you remember Salman asked the Holy Prophet that question. Ya Rasulullah, whom do we follow after you? Jabir asked that question, and when I do know that this hadith is set out. Jabir asked this question, and the Holy Prophet, and you know this, remind you in matter of seconds without keeping you on it. He says to Jabir asked who, and he says the first Imam mentions the second and third Imam. And then Jabir remains quiet, and the Holy Prophet says, Jabir, you don't want to know more? And Jabir says, I'm such an old man, Ya Rasulullah, I don't see myself surviving Hussein alayhi salam. And he says, no, you will remain still longer. You might command to not be the first successor. You remember that hadith? And Jabir says, your first successor, yes. Use the name of a Baqir alayhi salam, and then the Holy Prophet, you're not even the one that says this. This is a sunnah book. And then the Holy Prophet says, are you satisfied with these? And Jabir says, yes, Ya Rasulullah. And the Holy Prophet says, no, Jabir, you need to know these other names, because these other names will be useful to you in your life. Mere knowledge of these names are a ta'weed by themselves. And so the Holy Prophet gives Jabir all these names, seriously, one after the other. So those names are there for each to see. But it is the sunnah of the Holy Prophet that these names be given. So the Shias go and ask, and Imam Jawad says, when he's asked, says, no, don't worry. I will come back from this trip and all will be well. And he comes back, but when he is called again in Baghdad, by Murtaza the second time, and we went through this last prayer. Hussain bin Mirza Haddam goes again to him and says, Sayyidi, I've heard that Murtaza this time has told you, and the Imam wept. The Imam wept and says, yes, and this time that which you fear will come true. And he says, then my Mawla, my master, tell me whom do I follow after you? This is what concerns us. Whom do I follow after you? Because we do not want to follow the wrong person. Because we do not want to follow the wrong person, and we want to be sure that the one we are following is the correct person. And Imam Jawad alayhi salam points at Imam Hadi alayhi salam and says, follow him. It did not matter how old he then was, because Imam Jawad himself was that young when Imam Lakha alayhi salam pointed at him, said, follow him. And indeed, this happened repeatedly. But the version I want to put before you is of Khayrani, and we get this from the son from the father of Khayrani. The son sends the report to us. He says, my father had communications with Imam Hadi alayhi salam. This is now in Baghdad, when Imam Hadi alayhi salam was already transferred from Medina to Baghdad, as I hope we shall live with by Monday night. So, every dawn he would go to the house of Imam Hadi alayhi salam to find out how he passed evening. The Imam alayhi salam was under house arrest at that time. But some people were able to obtain access, and he was one of them. And one morning, few mornings in the last days, he found that Ahmad bin Muhammad bin Isa also was there. He too was trying to make the same inquiries that Khayrani was trying to make. And one morning, the messenger of the Imam alayhi salam comes to Khayrani and whispers to him. Ahmad bin Muhammad tries to hear but was not able to hear. But there are certain parts he did hear. And the part he heard was that the Imam alayhi salam is sending you the message that he is now very unwell and will soon leave this earth. So those were now the last moments of Imam Jawad alayhi salam. And he says, I have a special message for my followers that when I am not with them, that should follow my son Abu Hassan Ali, that is Imam Hadi alayhi salam. When he heard this, he knew that the hour is close. Ahmad bin Muhammad bin Isa comes to him and says, what was the message? Because you were given the message, I was not given the message. And Khayrani says, if you are not given the message, I will not give you the message now. And he says, but I've heard the message. And I know what you were told. Very important, didn't say the first part, but the important bit I have heard. And the right Khayrani then gives, you see how one Shia speaks to another, immediately says to him, what you did was a sin. You overheard a quiet, confidential conversation between the messenger and myself. Quran says, وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا, do not spy on other people. And this is what you have done. He says, yes, but I'm only concerned about my master. But the great thing is that when that happens, Khayrani goes home and writes 10 letters to 10 special companions of Imam Hadi alayhi salam and sets out his complete conversation in that letter. Seals the letter, gives it to 10 different people. This is all to ensure that after Imam Jawad alayhi salam goes, they will not start following their own person. And the Imam they follow is the legitimate Imam of the time. But as he delivers the letter, he says, I do not know whether the message I have included in this envelope, I will be able to deliver myself or not. That fear of the moment that the Imam alayhi salam says he is about to leave the earth. Will I survive him? Will I be able to live long enough to be able to say to the people who his successor should be? And even if I don't, tell my sons what to do with my property. I cannot die without conveying this message of the Imam alayhi salam that after me, follow my son Ali. You can see the importance that Shias gave to that message of the Imam as to who his successor should be. And hence we are able with certainty to say today that when we follow a person as an Imam, as a successor to the previous Imam, we do so with certitude that he is appointed by Allah, the glorified and exalted. So he says, I have given you these letters, so that in case I cannot convey this message to you, it is there. Do not open it so long as I am alive. Because I have conveyed the message myself. But the time comes when the Imam alayhi salam, Imam Jawad alayhi salam leaves the earth, and the question now is, what will these special companions do? Whom will they follow? And he receives a letter from Muhammad bin al-Faraj saying, Oh Khairani, you are more deserving than me to convene this meeting to decide who the successor of Al-Jawad alayhi salam should be. But the way your house is situated is strategically bad, and you might all get caught. Where my house is situated is safe. Look at the way the Shias have to live. And the skies got filled. Then they sure they have the right person whom they were following as the successor to the previous Imam. They are head off to those Shias of the time. Well, today made it easy for us to determine who the true 10 Imam alayhi salam was. And Khairani says this is right, and he says he rode out on his post to this meeting. When he gets to the meeting, about 30 people there, he says, who has got a letter like this? And about 10 people usually said, we all have letters. It's open. So they all opened the letters and read the letters. And they all said, we are prepared. We are prepared to follow what is contained in this letter. But we wish one more thing. And those are true Shias. And you can see how the law is applied, the Sharia is applied by those Shias even in such critical moments when you have to determine who the successor of an Imam is. But a vital question, because follow the wrong Imam and you can land in hell. Follow the right Imam and he leads you to heaven. Well, he says, what is it that you are dissatisfied with? And they turn around to him and say, Oh Khairani, we wish there was another person to support you. That law of Sharia, that there must be two witnesses, those are, that there must be two witnesses to every point of testimony. That is the law. They are trying you at that point in time. And Khairani says, yes, I have another witness who will support what I say. And that is Ahmad bin Muhammad bin Isa. Ahmad bin Muhammad bin Isa stands up and says, no, I remain quiet. And you might wonder why this man is not prepared to help the Shias of the time to determine who the true Imam was. He says, I remain quiet. Khairani says, you can't remain quiet. On such a critical issue, you cannot remain quiet. I say that you know the answer, and you know that what I'm saying is the truth. Because the message that was conveyed to me was overheard by you. And you overheard not me, because that would be hearsay. You overheard the messenger himself. And so, he still remains quiet. Khairani says, I put you through a Mubahara. And this is taught to us by Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. I put you through Mubahara. Let us both seek the curse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the one who is telling a lie. I am telling the truth. If you are telling the truth, say out the truth. If you are telling the truth that you don't know, let the Mubahara be true. And the curse of Allah fall on the one of us who is a liar. And he stands up and says, I cannot take the Mubahala because what Khairani says is true. I have exactly heard the messenger say to Khairani exact words that are in that letter. So you can see that the proof is so clear. It's so clear. It appears I still have time for one more short hadith. The Mawlana is here? Mawlana is already here. Oh well, I don't have the time for any more hadith, but we'll continue with this tomorrow or move into the excellence of the Imam alayhi salam. But what we have learned from the Imam alayhi salam is that when this night comes, the Eid of the 1st of Muharram, it is a night on which they all brace themselves remembering the martyrdom of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. They always looked at the moon, and having looked at the moon, they always turned to the moon and saying, "The moon of Muharram, what kind of message do you bring to us? What kind of message do you bring to us? You bring us the message of martyrdom of Imam Hussain alayhi salam." This is the night we remember the departure of Imam alayhi salam from the Medina, and what a painful occasion this must have been for the Imam alayhi salam to turn around and see his kids and children followed. You remember how difficult it was to let them go to fight in Karbala or something. Where we see, for example, Muhammad being helped the ride issuing onto their ride to Karbala. He said to himself, "Ya Allah, I am taking this young nephew of mine for you to let them martyred or be dead and killed." And then the Qasim followed, and what was happened to Imam Hussain when he sees the Qasim riding, turning his ride, so that he too moves indeed, it is said that you will actually settle for everything and when it was time that Abbas, when Rasul said, how would he have felt that I asked repeatedly, how would your family be husband and put up to their excellent. Indeed, it is said that Nadani Rahman and the day was a little too low. Imam Hussain alayhi salam put his eyes up, so that he was able and they ran onto the caravan. What would Imam Hussain alayhi salam have said? Would he have seen, not would he never see how ugly his madness would look for a person to help us line. Indeed, that is what exactly happened. And that's why at that time, when the Shastra was being taken to Karbala to Kufa, the Nizala and each lady tried to her to the camel. Each of them stood down to the Nizala did it, went to she has to take her head. And when people said, "What we like to service them, if you want to take her head," she said, "Fine, and not every one of them in my Quran. I will go and hear and then say, "I will say the Quran and say, "My brother, when I look at the we are free to go back. The matter is nobody will be trying to do our channel. In the world, everything is fire. Indeed, I will never have myself. Oh, my God, and ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون رحم الله من يحرم